Masters live stream where I ask the world's leading international experts, what does every singer need to know? I'm very excited to be here with you today, and I will be sharing a quick video with you to get you pumped up, especially those joining us in the private Zoom meeting room, for our course raffle giveaway today. So without further ado, here we go. I'm going to share this cool video with you. Sit back, enjoy, and we will be right back.
Music is one of the most ubiquitous art forms in the world. Every day, millions of musicians around the globe dream of getting a coveted standing ovation that starts with one's unique individuality and self-perseverance. An industry made up of some of the most iconic figures the world has ever known. Singing Revealed invites you on a journey to gain first-hand knowledge from one of the most prestigious world-renowned vocal coaches in music entertainment.
I've been performing and coaching internationally for over 30 years. I'm here to reveal the truth about singing to you. I believe this knowledge should be available to everybody, everywhere. You deserve to know the truth about singing.
What would somebody expect if they were to start maybe getting into singing for the first time?
Of course, it all depends on what your end goal is. I've created Singing Revealed to give you the answers and solutions you're looking for to save you time, money, and years of frustration. I know that any singer of any ability level who uses this course will transform their understanding of singing and their vocal design, and they will improve dramatically. You may have health issues or injuries that prohibit you from being in this optimal body alignment. So don't feel constricted that you have to stand in a perfect position the entire time you're singing. Movement is allowed. Many of my professional colleagues and clients concentrate on different muscle groups. This is absolutely okay. They have found what works best for them. What's most important is what works for you.
All right, a little something to get you pumped up about the course giveaway during this live stream today. Thank you all for joining us. I'm very, very excited to have another amazing co-host on Voice Masters live stream today. This is going to be a great day. I love these live streams. It's just part of my mission. After being a singer for 30 years, singing internationally around the world, I have like 3 degrees. I've studied singing for a long time. It's been my passion for decades and decades. And one thing I realized was a lot of these things I learned along the way, they could have been available to me right in the beginning. And I want you singers around the world to have access to some of this amazing information that's there. It's there for you. You're looking for it, and that's what this live stream is all about, to give you some of the answers and find out what the experts think every singer needs to know. Now today, I'd like to, of course, most of you already know who is coming on Voice Masters live stream today. It is Natalie Weiss. Natalie Weiss. When did I hear about Natalie the first time? Actually, it was probably about 10 years ago or so. I was working with a group of teachers, and one of them said, you got to go to Breaking Down the Riffs. This channel is amazing, and if you want to understand riffs, go to Breaking Down the Riffs. So I'm like, Breaking Down the Riffs? Breaking Down the Riffs? That sounds like a cool song. But I went to the YouTube channel, and then I saw Natalie doing this amazing work and simplifying riffs and runs for people, something that is so valuable. And this channel is super valid even today. Now Natalie's really big on TikTok and Instagram, and she's just very successful and very successful. Why? In my opinion, I've had the chance to speak with her personally, and we're gonna talk some more. Natalie's really open. She's really open to sharing knowledge, and I really feel like she wants to help singers. So I want to thank her in advance for sharing. A lot of people just don't want to do it, but she's been consistently sharing her insights and her personal insights and opinion and knowledge with singers around the world for many, many, many years. And that takes a lot of discipline, a lot of energy, and I have a lot of respect for that. So without further ado, let's welcome on Natalie Weiss with a big round of virtual applause. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, how are you, everyone? I just want to thank you for that intro. I actually wrote some of that stuff down because sometimes I need a boost of confidence when I feel bad about myself. And I really appreciate that because I've never really heard it that way. And I do appreciate you recognizing that it does take a lot of energy and I don't realize it does. So I appreciate that intro.
You're very welcome. Yeah, it does. It takes a lot of energy. I'm doing it. A lot of people are doing it, and if you are in the process, you realize, wow, while you're going, isn't it just so energizing to work with people, motivated singers, and see them have their little success moments and evolve, and then after you're done with that, you're like, oof, wow, that just took a lot out of me, right?
Exactly. It's what you live for. Yep.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Tell me a little bit about how you even got started singing.
Singing. Okay. I'll take you through my journey of childhood. So I think my parents kind of could sense natural ability. So they put me in piano lessons at 4 years old. So I was classically trained on the piano. And I couldn't really, I guess I could sort of sing on pitch, but would put on shows for my family members, but kind of would just scream around the house, putting on nonsense shows. And then let's see, I saw Les Mis and Phantom growing up. So I was like, ooh, this is fun. But even just seeing Les Mis on Broadway, I was like, when's On My Own? I don't understand the plot. I kind of just didn't really understand what was going on in the back row. And basically, at the talent show in fourth grade, I was like, I'll play the piano. And then fifth grade, I was like, I guess I could sing, but I had no stage presence. I just kind of swayed back and forth. I definitely would listen to the Bodyguard soundtrack over and over. That was my childhood. So that's so much of my singing I learned from imitating singers. I went to a Madonna concert at age 5, Billy Joel, Janet Jackson. I was not a musical movie person. I was more of a pop. My dad loved the Eagles. So, just kind of introducing a lot of music to me early on. And, early signs of riffing were imitating all of these singers, but not really knowing what I was doing. I guess there was some kind of natural pop ability, but then being able to kind of put a name to it as I got older. Did the musicals, finessed the craft a little bit, and then studied musical theater in college. Should I keep going past college of my weird niche journey, or should I?
Yeah.
Do you want to
Tell
interject?
us about it. I'm interested. I'm sure other people are interested.
Yeah, it's very niche. It's a very, very odd story that kind of happened by accident. A lot of people asking for advice. How do you advise that I blank? And I'm like, oh, I wish I could help. Mine happened by accident. And so it's kind of a lot of right place, right time, and learning on the job. But basically, I used to play for my friends in practice rooms. We would harmonize in high school and college. And so my instinct to coach kind of started by if a friend would sing and he would come off stage and go, was that pitchy? He would ask me and I'm like, no, it was great. And they would kind of trust my opinion. So I guess what started as me coaching for free, led into more passionate of I think I could do this more so. But battling, performing and teaching. So in college, I was singing a song at the head of the program's house, and one of the freshmen filmed it, and it was 2006, and it was probably on his flip phone. and it was really shaky. And he was like, yeah, yeah. And he put it on this thing called youtube.com, which was 16 years ago, before some of you might have been born. And it was all of a sudden I had a lot of Facebook friend requests, and I was like, who's this? I used to like respond to Facebook requests being like, hi. Like, I couldn't understand why people were friending me. Like, the videos were starting to go viral, and not TikTok billion view viral, 100,000 hits to this day, And then it just kind of built from there. I never even had a YouTube channel. Posted, maybe I started a YouTube channel, but had no strategy. And then it just kind of built from there. And then at the same time, a lot of the new musical theater writers were coming onto the scene right when I graduated. And once one video comes out, they all kind of see your stuff. And it's like, this led to this, led to this. Then on the tour of Les Mis, I was a swing. So I was like, I had a lot of offstage time, and a lot of people had been like, how do you do this riff? And I said, oh, let me listen to it. Let me count the notes. And I sort of came up with this concept of like, oh, it's so much easier than you think if you break it down, and then coming up with the title. And it never was like, I'm going to come up with a massive project now. It was like kind of a bored passion project. And I was kind of a big believer in posting what I thought was relatable, funny, educational. And I'm very into like posting process and mess ups and singing with cracks and showing that it's a journey. So that's kind of, I think, how the appeal maybe started, of like the relatability factor. And that's my sort of encompassed journey.
That's wow. I've done Les Mis several times as well. What roles did you get to sing?
Oh, I only got to cover, not for lack of a better word, crazy whore, bloody whore. Those were character names. It was not very creatively fulfilling, covering, but that's what you did. You covered all the ensemble parts. I never covered the lead, sadly. But yeah, lots of whores in the script. Yes.
I love when they, when they just, we're not going to give this character a name. It's just going to be crazy whore, crazy
That's
whore,
it.
whatever.
Yep.
But I'm sure, the ensemble numbers are some of the best choral numbers to sing.
Oh, yeah.
So fun.
Totally, yeah.
And I'm sure you've sung a lot of concerts and galas. Do you have a favorite Les Mis song to sing?
Ooh, I sang "Bring Him Home," like a popified version in a lot of my concerts. I definitely have I like to simplify songs, but I also like to popify standard musical theater songs. So I've definitely done like On My Own, but like acoustic version, and Bring Him Home acoustic guitar version, kind of change it up a little bit. Yeah.
I love doing Bring Him Home with one guitar. Just with an acoustic guitar. It's just, there's something pure about it. It is a beautiful song. Oh wow. Well,
I should try Lovely Ladies, like an acoustic ballad.
Lovely ladies.
Yes.
Maybe really super slow.
Exactly.
Well, fun. Tell us a little bit about, now we know you've had this journey, and I love this story because I think it also reflects something I believe in. If you follow your passion, you never know what's going to happen and what doors are going to open and what paths it leads you down. And when you start sharing, don't know where that's going to go and lead in the beginning either. And then it's surprising, all of a sudden, bam, 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 you're getting all this attention for certain things. And you're like, oh, wow, what's going on? Maybe I hit a nerve here. But
maybe I'm on something, yeah.
Can you maybe well, have you ever imagined what would have happened if you had never have shared your insights or your thoughts on how to break down a riff?
I think about what would have happened literally all the time, and the number one thing with that is, there's going backwards. What would have happened if I hadn't done Breaking Down the Riffs? But before then, I still had a following before Breaking Down the Riffs, and then it just kind of built. So sometimes now it's like, you're the riff lady, and I'm like, okay, I have a name, you know what I mean? Then there's like an association. But before then, I was choosing between two schools for college. And I almost went to the University of Miami for musical theater. And at the last minute, I was like, you know what? I just think Penn State's a better program. I don't have the cold weather. And I always think every single thing led to that. And I also think about, like, I spent a lot of creative time on that performance that went viral, that I thought was funny, and then had my classmates crying and laughing, and it was just captured. And if that video, I thank this kid to this day, that I would not be here if it wasn't for that video. So I think all the time, if I hadn't, going backwards, chosen that school, done that, like, you know what I mean? And so that is a very weird thing. Life is funny. Yeah.
Life is funny, especially looking back, right? But thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say thank you for sharing,
Thank you.
your personal insights, and being willing to do that. I'm sure there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people around the world, singers nowadays, and teachers, going, wow, this is really brilliant. I never thought of that, and you probably were going through life not thinking, hey, I've come up with something unique and original, right? You weren't considering yourself the greatest innovator of all time, right?
No, I funny enough, I remember, no joke, like, on trips to New York with my friends, I would sing. I wanted to be famous growing up. And now I'm like, I want to be less famous. It's like, when I was growing up, I was like, I want to be famous. I used to sing "Discover Me" on the streets, like an obnoxious person. And then somehow, when I was discovered in, like, the weirdest way, I was like, wow, this is incredible. And then, like, one negative thing will happen. It will bring my day down. And I'm like, wow, there's a price to fame. And it's such a niche fame. Like, nobody would recognize me at a Mets game, but, like, at a student rush line for Broadway, I will get recognized. It's such a, like, random specific market. And I never thought, like, wow, I thought I was on to something, but never that it would blow up. I think very recently, like, with this course that I just had coming out, I had avoided doing it for so long. And I know that this course that is cornering a market that is not explained the way that I do it in the course, which I do believe is special. So that was, like, I think the first time, which is what took me 35 years to understand what I'm doing, is kind of cool,
Yeah, well, I think it's cool. I definitely think it's cool, and I'm not alone. So, and it takes courage, and I want to encourage people out there, just to share, the most valuable thing you have to the rest of the people on this planet and for yourself is your personal uniqueness and your personal way of thinking about things. And sharing that, you really enrich all of us. So nice job. I know it sounds so cliche, but you did it, and talking about the course, so if you're watching this video, you just go to the description. It's not going to be there because we're streaming live right now, but in the description we'll put a link and some information. But I'm also a course creator, and I also felt for years, I got to get this out there. And there was that, who's going to want to hear something that Philippe has to say? A hesitancy in the beginning, and then I got over that and started sharing and creating these courses. And we talked a little about it, and see the courses. What we're doing is very complementary, and I can totally recommend what you are doing. So tell us a little bit about the course.
Yeah.
Is it available now? I know it is. So we're going to put a link in the description.
Yeah, I'm going to put a link in the chat too, with a special promo code for anyone who is watching this. I'll explain it, but I'm just putting this in the chat. It's natalieweiss.voice.com, and the code for 40% off is, no, I'm putting it in here. NW Singing Revealed for 40% off. Okay. Wow. So the course is basically, it was the first time that I was able to put everything I've ever, because I started with these really complicated riffs, I don't know, 40, 35 episodes, going into TikTok riffs and kind of changing the format depending on the platform that came on the scene. But basically, it's broken down even further, and there's an entire module about pop, like, inflections that I've never posted about on the internet, that sort of I had made up this like visual method and way of explaining like pop sensibilities, which would either help teachers that need to teach musical theater singers how to sing pop, or how to popify your sound, or maybe you're a really good pop singer and you're like, I didn't even know I was doing that, and like raising awareness and how to identify it in pop singing. And I do believe that it has not been explained this way before, in a very digestible fashion. And it's funny enough, I did this Q&A with my course buyers, and like so many people that buy courses only got to module 4, and there's 15 modules. And I'm like, you got to finish it, or else you can't, like, you got to be like, I finished it. Oh, and then somebody said like, I did the course and I got into the doctorate program that I was like trying to get into, and like things like that really helped me understand who it's useful for. And also, somebody was saying, she bought it for her daughter that's 11, which was 9, slightly too young a demographic. But then the mom ended up taking it and learning, like helping her break it down even farther. And she was kind of like a hobby singer that kind of gave up the business a couple of years ago. So it's different people that it's for. And also, like, I definitely do funny nonsense, like mess ups to the camera. It's very on brand for me to be self-deprecating. So
that sounds like a lot of fun. I think it is tough when you as a coach, as a singer, wanting to share knowledge, you want to help. I hope, I want to help singers everywhere. And then you get this marketing, all the marketing team and coaches, and you're like, what's your target market? And I'm like, singers,
everyone,
like, narrow it down.
Yeah.
Singers in the world, it's tough because you get this feedback, and the demographic of who it helps is so broad.
Yeah.
So like, we've got people. I had a 76-year-old guy, just learning guitar and learning how to sing, and went crazy about it. And also a young girl, 9. I wasn't sure if she was how she would do with it, but it's like there's singers that are curious and want to learn, and that's what I like to encourage all singers everywhere. Just stay curious, stay hungry, and you'll collect little bits of information and piece them together in your perception, and that's going to be the most valuable for you. So I'm really excited to see this course and dig into it more myself. And I absolutely agree. I mean, your unique perspective is unique. I haven't seen all of it yet, but that's the feedback I get all the time. And my ambition as well, taking all this science, the vocal science that has had so much evolution in the past 2 decades, and operatic technique, jazz technique, pop technique, heavy metal technique, there are bits that all align. Certain things just align for everything. But I really try and break it down to make it understandable for everybody, just kind of this entry level, because I don't want people to believe they have to go out and study for 12 years before they can become a singer. That would be ridiculous, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think in your experience? Now, it's the big question of the live stream is, what does every singer need to know? And it's a rich question, a lot of possible responses. But in your experience, or let's say maybe today, what's something you would like to share with the global singing community that you think every singer should know this?
I have a few answers. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure the more the better. Everybody would be very happy.
Okay. So I think a few answers I would say are, you never stop learning. I've learned more about, I've changed the way that I teach / approach singing in the past 3 years. Like, if I had a coaching with somebody in the last year versus 2 years ago, I'm like, wow, I totally discovered a new visual that worked, and now I'm picking it up, and now I'm using it all the time. And so I've kind of like changed the way that I teach by picking up new, whether it's knowledge or experience knowledge. The second would be that it's a journey, and half the battle is mental block. I'm a very big believer in breaking down the mental blocks. So definitely knowing that half of it is in your head and half of it is literal physical ability, but I think half the battle is mental. And I am a very firm believer in terms of pop singing and riffing, that what I call in the course is body to voice connection. And I firmly believe that if you attach a movement to a pitch you're singing, that you will land the pitches cleaner. I was doing something with a student today, and he was like having trouble like equating. It was like a what I call a 1 2 3 3 2 1, and I was having him do these movements, and he was like, freedom, freedom, and I was like, no, freedom, and I had him like double hit the right hand, and then I had him like change the coordination. Once he got the coordination of whether he put a movement or was doing it on his leg, he was equating the specific hand with a note, and I feel like that's helpful to attach movements to pitches.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. It's just, and it's so revealing as well. So if you're a singer, for example, and you're using hand gestures, singers tend to intuitively use some hand gestures. But if you're coaching a singer, you can see a lot of times with their hand gesture, just like you demonstrated, if it's actually going against what they're trying to sing or matching. And that can be a real clear signal that, okay, if I'm not doing the movement that's basically saying this is what I'm singing, then something's in conflict, something's a little bit off. And singing is a whole body experience.
Totally.
How do you when I was first starting out singing, I couldn't move. I just sit there and go, Ave Maria. I was just like this frozen statue singing, and it tended to work really well as a kid, but I was uptight about it. I don't know if I was super nervous, but then I just discovered when I move, my voice gets free and opens up. And then people would say to me, in acting, when I was at college learning how to act, right? They say, when you sing and move, you're just so natural and free, and maybe you got to put some movement into acting as well. And it did help me unlock my acting technique. So there's a real holistic experience.
Yep. Getting in your body more. Yep.
Yeah, I could totally see that. And I see somebody here in the live chat that I was working with just the other day, and the guy's a basketball player, and to help him find rhythm, we just had to use the basketball gesture.
Yes.
Ball down, ball up, and that just worked so well. But that's a physical movement. How do you feel about, we've talked a little bit about it, but kind of a leading question about interpretation for music, about connecting with your audience.
How so? Sorry. Can you repeat again?
Yeah, there's a lot of words for it. So I just, I call my course about this emotional layering, right? But your emotion, how do you, the emotional connection for me, communicating through singing is probably, for me, the most important factor of singing there is, really. All the technical things we do serve to free up that process. So I think it's a really interesting thing to think about and try if you're a singer. If you're working on riffs, for example, a riff is an expression, right? Is it easier to do riffs and runs if you have an emotional intent behind them?
Yeah. So basically I have it's an interesting answer. I think that number one, with all the stuff that I coach with riffs, so much of the course is it needs to come from a place. You need to know what the history is. You need to know what the story is, what your full intention is. That being said, so much of my course is literally, what are we doing, right? And then once we learn how to do it, then we have to figure out how to infuse the story, the emotion, all that stuff. And it's interesting, I think a lot of people think one of my biggest, and this is on me, because there's this, oh, well, you teach riffs, so you must love just mindless riffing. Quite the contrary. If we're doing a TikTok riff challenge, do 8,000 notes. Like, please do. Like, do it in laying down with note. Like, this is what the, I don't know what the phrase I'm trying to think of. This is what am I trying to say? This is what TikTok wants. This is what the vibe is. This is the trend. You're not trying to like, and now you must act through your TikTok riff. Like, no, sing it on your bed and sing 40 notes, right? But then in performance, and there's a time and a place, and I most of the time really want singers to decorate with very few riffs. I think if they're learning agility and scaling, then by all means, like whatever you need to do to practice the agility. But when you're actually like, performing, to then rein it in, and tasteful is number one. That's kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sure, and I'm sure people, our listeners out there, the audiences, you've been to a concert where there were multiple singers, and one singer just gets up there and is doing riff after run, and it sounds, and it's cool and it's impressive, but after a while it just kind of gets monotonous in a way. And then you have another singer up there that's just pouring out their heart, and they do some totally improvised riffs sometimes. You're like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. And I think it's just because it comes from a different place.
Yeah, and I think some of the thing in my course that I go into very minorly in terms of like the last module is, but how do I create my own? And it's interesting because some people ask me like, do you plan your riffs or do you do them like on the fly? And I think there's a big argument with this, or a big discussion with, riffs should come from a more emotional place and should be a reflection or an extension of the journey, the struggle, the passion, all of that stuff. That being said, this is another interesting point. A lot of songs in like musical theater riffs are being written into the melody. So now it's like, okay, is it a riff or is it the melody? And then you have to like, if you look at music, 20 years ago, it was like, here's the melody, and now it's like it's written in as a melody. So that's an interesting conversation too, of when it's important to the writer or not. And also, I'm a firm believer in just myself as a musician, knowing that if I'm feeling a moment and I try to riff on the spot, I don't trust myself to land a riff in the right key. Like, I just know that if I'm like, I can't stop. And then I'm like, oh no, what's the root of the chord? So that's just me personally. I like to be like, all right, here's my map. I'll do a bunch of, riffs and voice memo. And then I'll be like, ooh, I don't like that. Ooh, that was 6 notes. That goes up, that goes down. And then I'll map it out for myself. That's just my process with that.
I think it's great. It's so valuable. I just want to reiterate that, because so few singers record themselves and listen to themselves and then think about it and decide, I want this, I want that, I like this, I don't like that. If you guys will record yourselves, especially on improvisations, then you will have your creative impulses, then you can cultivate them. It's like, planting the garden, and then you get to pick the fruit.
Yeah.
That's so important and so valuable. And it just, I'm always amazed that so few singers are listening to themselves, recording themselves, and they're like, how do we do the riffs? So it's not just about having the steps and the techniques. It's actually listening to yourself, working on it.
Totally. Wow. These are really good questions actually in the chat.
Yeah, should we open up the Q&A? So whether you're with us live in the Zoom meeting or you are following on YouTube, feel free to put some questions in the chat here. So we're going to read for people that don't have eyes on the chat. Let's read the questions. So,
all that talk about the garden and the fruit, I'm hungry. I want a salad now.
Yeah, Emily Hatch is writing, hey Natalie, how do you balance your performing and teaching life?
I got a lot of these questions at this convention I was doing last weekend, because it was just all about like doing different things in your career? I think when I graduated and I was like, I'm a performer, this is what I do, I knew that I had a following and I could teach and play piano, and I didn't have to get a waitressing job. So at first it was like, I'm performing, I'm performing, I'm performing. And then I'm like, I'll just teach to make money. And then, okay, I'm back. I'll just teach to like kind of support myself. And then I was like, oh, I love this too. And then I was hired to do like semester classes and also concerts and also do shows. So like while I was doing a show, I wasn't really able to teach. Then I think the past 7 years, I have done mostly teaching with like a show a year. And it has to be a show that I like, a role I really want to do, or, I've gotten to the place where I want to be doing things. I really want to do what I'm doing, if that makes sense. And now it's like finding what makes me feel invigorated the most. And it is a tricky balance, but I think you could do everything and then not overextend yourself, And to answer your question, Igor, I actually don't know about I have heard from my foreign students, CBT. I don't know EBT. And when people ask me, what technique do you teach? It's still SLS, all the abbreviations, right? My answer is I teach healthy singing. It's really the best answer I can give, because I am not people would say I'm a technician, but like I learned how to sing in college, but so much of my teaching is based on made up visuals that have worked. And I try to like take out all of the tech terminology to not overcomplicate it. So I don't really know. What about you, Philippe? I'm assuming you know a lot about CBT and.
Yeah, I do. I'm an authorized complete vocal technique teacher. Yes, absolutely. I definitely use techniques, methods from that methodology. I'm a really big believer in that there's no one methodology that covers everything. Even my courses cannot cover everything. And that's a question I ask myself, what does every singer need to know? And as I was making these courses, they just became so detailed and massive. And then I realized I'm never going to be able to share everything I know. So I really had to try and boil it down to the core, the most meaningful bits. Like every sentence I say is loaded information. So because in my experience, I have like 2 bachelor's, a master's degrees, specialty certifications. I love learning. Mm-hmm. So there are definitely elements of many, many methodologies in what I am teaching, and they've all helped me immensely. And I think that pretty much every methodology can help singers. And then we need to realize that before we had all these methodologies, there were still amazing singers. And how did that happen? Right. So yes, keep learning. There are amazing, amazing things for you to learn out there. And we're trying to share some of this with you in these live streams, but it is a never-ending process and really fascinating for me. I've spoken with some of the top researchers in the world, and pretty quickly you get to a point where I just say, it's amazing what we've learned in the last 20 years, and it's amazing how much we don't know. Mm-hmm. And they're all, because it takes so much time actually to do scientific research. The breakthroughs are amazing, but there's still always so much more to explore. Mm-hmm. So definitely use these techniques in my teaching, and I'm learning new techniques all the time. Just like Natalie said, sometimes I'm inventing a technique with a client, just looking what clicks for the client. One of the most valuable things a colleague of mine said when we were working together, he's very, very famous Wagnerian tenor. He said, we just need to find the language that works for your brain.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because if we all have our own perspective. So if Natalie says something, it might not click for you, and then I say the same thing with 2 different words, and all of a sudden it goes bang. Yeah. And vice versa. I might be talking about something for weeks with you, and Natalie comes along and said, oh, just think about this, and click. So, sometimes it's just about finding the right words, the right language for your brain, but you're not going to find it if you stop looking,
Yeah.
you know? So
That is
just
interesting. If I go in to teach a guest class, because I don't teach people all year long, like at a school. So when I come in and they're like, "Yay, Natalie's here," and then I say something, and the teacher goes, "I've been saying that every week." Suddenly, like they believe me more, you know.
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my god!" So the teacher and I, we go out after, and they're like, "Natalie, I've been saying," you know, it's a pretty funny bonding moment of like, "Thank you, I've been saying that," you know.
Yes.
Dinah, you're very wise. I like your comments. I think also I adjust my coaching to each individual as not everything works for everyone. And then sometimes we get hung up on terminology, but the terms don't always help a singer connect to get the results. So I had somebody recently who was asking me a question, and I said something like, I don't know, your mouth is a bowl. I just like made it up out of my ass, I thought. And she goes, "Oh my God, that's why I like coming to you, because I have these degrees in pedagogy or music ed and it doesn't make any sense. And then you just said something that was just like, your mouth's a bowl." I'm like, okay, great. You know? So that was helpful to hear that like, it doesn't always have to be like, you know, there's a name to it.
Yeah. I do try my best to give in my teaching as much as possible the scientific correct terminology, but I also say at the same time, I don't care if you call this red 5 or yellow 6. All I care about is that you know what it is that you're doing and can reproduce it. That's really all the singer wants, right? We want to be able to sing. We want to be able to sing consistently and reproduce it consistently. And at the end of the day, if we can do that, we don't care what anybody calls it. Do that water buffalo sound. Okay. You know, in death metal, that might be awesome.
Right.
And somebody might just call it the water buffalo. You know,
Right.
so it's really about, can you make the sound you want to make in a healthy, efficient way and consistently do it over and over again.
Totally.
That's what the whole science is looked into, helping us discover how those work in hopes of giving us some practical tools, right? Let's see. We've got a question from Minx on the YouTube channel asking, he's very curious on how you approach the mix voice. And I know mixed voice means a lot of different things to different people, but how do you approach mixed voice? What does that mean to you?
Okay. What it means to me is the correct balance between chest and head. I think a lot of people like think that mix is like, do you want me to mix it or belt it? And I was like, confusing. There's so many semantics around it. But basically, there are two main kinds of mixes: a head dominant mix and a speech dominant mix, or a chest dominant mix, or, you know, however you want to classify it. But it really is about finding the right balance in the right moment. So some songs call for a more head dominant mix, and some songs call for a more chest dominant mix. And you need to be able to speech dominant mix with all of the new musical theater songs and, you know, high belt stuff, or you can't just be chest like pulling up all this weight. My quickest answer for mixing is a lot of slides, a lot of I like to do octave slides on an oh no. I will add an oh no to every single student every day, and it sounds like, what is this bitch doing? She just uses the same thing. Well, because it works. So any lyric I have put in, okay, I'm just gonna think of 4 songs off the top of my head. "Dying Ain't So Bad" from Bonnie and Clyde, if anyone knows that. So let's say it was like, "Don't see it, dying ain't so no." That'll be one oh no with a so no. So no. Let's do "Rolling in the Deep." We could have had it. Oh no. Here's another one. I mean, literally, I can put it into any song to get that like speech quality. And I like to think like longer and like on top at the same time. So we're like zipping the vowel kind of a thing. And a lot of cracks are going to happen. I cracked all through college. So it's going to be, it's very common to be cracking.
I would love to just to talk about that. I mean, I crack every day. You know, if I'm trying to, that sounds like I'm a horrible singer, but
Yeah.
no, I'm coaching like women and men, and I haven't prepared their songs, right? I haven't polished out my technique. So invariably there's going to be at least one time in the day where I don't get it 100% right, and that's okay. Cracking is actually, I love mistakes, and every good teacher I ever had said it's when you have a bad day, that's when you know how good your technique really is, because then the problems just, the problem zones aren't covered up by a fantastic sunshine. It's now they are there, and they reveal to you. It's just your body saying, hey, you need to pay attention. This little piece of what you're doing isn't quite in balance, not quite right. And that allows you to make an adjustment and learn. And every time I crack, I learn so much. But I do remember the phase where I was cracking and I had no idea why. And that's, I think, the frustrating phase to be in
Yeah.
as a singer. If you're cracking, your voice is cracking, you don't know why and you don't know how to fix it, then you need to get some help. You need to take a course, take some voice lessons, because you need the mentorship. There's always a reason for the voice to crack. It's just science. It's easy to explain why. And it happens to everybody. The difference is, do you know why it cracked? And can you do it the next time that it doesn't crack? Do you know why, and do you know how to fix it? If you know that, welcome to the club. If when your voice is cracking, you don't know why, I just want to say their answers, they're very clear. It's a very simple solution. You just don't have them yet. So go get those answers.
Yeah, and embrace the crack. It's so true. Yeah.
Did you see the question from Dana Summers? Natalie, what tools do you use to make a consistent and permanent learning in a student, like to help them find their autonomy on teaching? What strategies do you use? Dana's obviously a voice teacher herself.
Okay, I have to be honest. I read this question and my brain hurts, so I'm gonna need it explained a different way.
All right.
Maybe you can clarify it?
How do you help a student for permanent learning? So it's not like just a quick fix, but what actually sticks.
Okay. Okay, so it's tricky because I'm the type of coach that tweaks performers and doesn't build them per se. I have a couple students that I have completely worked with over the years and seen so much growth, but I'm not on Tuesdays at 5, we do hoo. I'm just not that type of a teacher. I'm like, hi, I'm going to the voice blinds and I need to coach my song. And I'm like, okay, I got you. So, I don't want to say quick fixer, but I am a tweaker for specific performance. But then I think that once I've given them tools on that specific vowel, I could then be like, oh, this applies to that song later on. And they can start seeing common similar vowels or similar shapes that they can then apply. And they're able to self-assess much faster. So if I have somebody that couldn't really stretch her chest voice above a G, kind of how I was younger. And now, instead of me being the voice in her head, instead of me checking in, she has my voice in her head because of the drilling we did with other things that she can now start applying into other songs. So I think it all starts to kind of make sense once you have little fixes.
I like that, because it's just, we can relate that to learning riffs and runs, right? You start off with one piece, and when you've got that little piece down, then you learn the next bit, and now you can connect two things, and then now you learn another riff, another run, and suddenly you're building a vocabulary. So that's a great response, and that's the same thing. I think it is difficult. People need time for the information to settle in. So once they got the quick fix, once they find it, then that's the real important question. Just like with cracking, do you know why it happened? Do you know how to fix it? Can you repeat that result? And do you realize that this is going to work in every other song where you encounter this? That's really important.
I was about to read, lost it, Asari's question, and then you wrote another one. So I think you meant, would it be right to call a not a non-riffer, a non-riffer a good singer, and must all singers perform riffs and runs? And then your follow-up question is, would someone who doesn't riff be be called a good singer in our contemporary music setting? First question. So that's an interesting question. Like, I would never say you are a bad singer because you don't riff and run. Like, I definitely am all about like tone and, all about the technique. And I don't think like Renee Fleming would be riffing. She's like, no, but in her line of work, there might be, she needs melismas. It's all the same kind of a thing. So I think that everyone should be able to practice the voice movement. I don't think she needs to be performing Aretha Franklin music. You know what I'm saying? I think like you can always develop the tool, but that doesn't mean like you are not a good singer because you didn't sing riffs and runs. In terms of vibrato and riffs and runs, it should literally probably not exist in any kind of scaling. So, you wouldn't be like, you wouldn't sing through the riff with vibrato. I kind of say sometimes when you land, let's say, you can land with vibrato, but the movement through the notes shouldn't be like singing.
Yeah, I would agree on that as well. Otherwise, it's not going to be very clean. And yeah, you land on vibrato, you have vibrato, but actually you can time your melisma and maybe a riff and run to could go with the pulse of a vibrato.
Yeah.
That can be timed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of similar if you just do it on a straight tone, and if you move it, so it's kind of on the little pulse, but we don't want it just will become this
Right.
uncontrollable wobble and you'll fall
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And then this question of, do you think anyone can riff? I have a yes and a no answer for that. My course is all about like, my whole motto is anyone can riff. Like in episode 1 of Breaking Down the Riffs, you too can riff. Yes, I believe that to a degree. I had a friend in college who I overheard scaling like, and it was like slow, 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 faster. And she anatomically could not keep up with the scale, with the tempo. So I believe like her, her folds are thicker and she has trouble being as agile. So I would say like for her, I wouldn't stick to like 37 note riffs. I would stick to like little movements and then build up to it. But like people like Avery Wilson, Tori Kelly, Smokey Norfolk, like they were born moving their voice. Like I don't think they were really taught how to move that fast. Even for me, I'm like, nah! Like some days it just like doesn't move,
Yeah, some voices, people have been trying to classify 5 voices for hundreds of years, so there's a general assumption that some voices are light and quick and some are heavy and dramatic. I'm sure there's a bit of truth and a bit of falsehood to both of those, but yeah, you can definitely learn to riff. It's like, do you want to compare yourself, if you want to become a bodybuilder, are you going to start and compare yourself to Mr. Universe or Miss Universe tomorrow? Of course not. That takes years and years and years of work. So be kind to yourself and be realistic. It's not an overnight process. It might take you 5 years to get to your dream level, where you are now at a professional level. But that doesn't mean you can't you can't make significant fast improvement in just a couple of weeks or months. There's a lot of different degrees. Yeah, I would love, we could keep doing this all day, but we're going to run out of time. Let's take another question and then let's move on to the course raffle. Let's see, I've got a question. Let's pick a question off the YouTube chat. I think it's a good question. I don't know the Dundrum. I'm just guessing on the name. We will have different usernames. Do you have favorite preferred vowels for working on agility? Or does it depend on the emotion and pitch? Or
let me think about that.
Is there one vowel you kind of your go-to vowel for agility?
Let me think about that. I'm going to put myself on mute. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead. And while Natalie's checking out for herself, I think it definitely does depend on pitch, and it depends on the sound you're trying to make, right? But A lot of people tend to use an oo or an e in the beginning because it's a very focused vowel. What do you think, Natalie?
I was just gonna say oo and e, not an ah. Ooh, I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah. Just kind of scaling over here.
But
I
that was
think
great.
it's not a definitive answer for me. Depends.
Yeah, you just demonstrated, that going from an oh, kind of like the o to ah, in ascending. So
Yeah. Hmm.
pitch does play a role for the vowel. But yeah, if you're just starting off in a comfortable zone to develop the agility, most people are using an oo or an e in the beginning. Just it seems to be a good, easy vowel to focus. Low volume, just working on the coordination. Cool. Is there another question you're dying to answer, or should we jump on to the
Oh, we
course
can do
raffle?
the course raffle. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, everybody. This is this is a little bit tricky because everybody that signed up and got the personal invitation to the live Zoom meeting, you got entered into the raffle, but the raffle winners are going to be the people that are live now in the Zoom meeting. And if you're like, oh dang, I didn't know how to get into the Zoom meeting, don't worry about it. But you should follow the Singing Revealed Instagram channel and become a member. Just sign up for a mailing list on singingrevealed.com or follow us on YouTube, because we'll send you a personal invitation to be live with us in the live stream Zoom meeting. So that's how you can be live with us and get a spot to win a course raffle. So right now, I wrote down some names of people that are live with us in the chat. I got to pop out the participants, not in the chat, in the Zoom meeting. And what I'm going to do is I have this just really something I just grabbed off of Google, so you can all see it. All right, and I'll share it with you. Okay, so there you go. See how random that is? And there are 32 people with us live. So your odds are actually pretty darn good, right? So I'm just going to go through and click this spin, and then I'll check it up with the name. And if you're live with us, then you win. The first thing we're going to raffle off is a 1-month free pass to my course, Emotional Layering. And Emotional Layering is the only course I know of that exists in the world that teaches singers how to activate emotion in their own brain, because if it's in your brain and you've activated it in your body, it will be in your voice, and you will be able to communicate powerfully, emotionally through singing. And for me, that is the most important reason to sing in the first place. So let's go to winner number 1. Oh, it's so random. I love it. Number 1, seriously, and number 1 is Brittany. Let's see if Brittany's live in the meeting. If Brittany's not live in the meeting, then I get a spin again. Okay, and if I'm missing you, Brittany, you can write in the chat quick, because I do not see you live in the meeting. So here we go. Moving on to spin number 2. All right, number 2, Estela Flores. I saw you here. Are you still in the meeting, Estela? Come on, where are you? Oh my goodness, I don't see Estela anymore. Estela, you guys could have won. You ran out of time. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Here we go. Rolling again. This is. Oh wait, Estela's there. Estela's there. Okay, Estela. So Estela, I'm gonna put it right down. I see you. You're probably freaking out, going, "No, Philippe, I'm right here." Look, emotional layering. There you are. Congratulations, Estela. 1 month free access to emotional layering. And please send me an email. Just put your email address in the Zoom meeting chat. And we go back to number 31. Number 31. Where are we? Number 31, Karim. Karim, are you here, Karim? You were here a second ago. If you are here, Karim, then make sure you are writing out to Karim is here. Congratulations. Karim, you win 1 month free access to my course, Airflow Control, which is everything you need to know about breathing techniques and how to support your voice. Now we've got one final spin, and this will be for my course on dynamic movement potential, how to eliminate tightness, tension, and constriction when you sing. Okay, that music is so cheesy. Airflow Control, Karim. And now we go back here. Don't forget number 29. Number 29 is Jessica. Jessica, are you here? Jessica Kionis. There you go, Jessica. You have won a month pass, free access to dynamic movement potential. Congratulations, guys. Congratulations to our winners. That was so fun. Thanks for bearing with the cheesy spin the wheel and fun little music there. But congratulations, you guys. Be sure to put your email address in the chat in Zoom right now, please. And then I will be sending you access to this course immediately.
And then one more time, I'm going to write in the chat with the code for my course for 40% off. There you go. NatalieWeissVoice.com, code NW Singing Revealed.
And wow.
Oh, I forgot to say that code will expire April 30th.
You guys, wow. You know how lucky you are? I mean, 40% off, Natalie. Thanks for doing that for our audience. That's super generous of you. I really, really appreciate that. You guys are so lucky. You should take advantage of it and grab it. Remember, learning never stops. And keep it going, guys. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. I would love to stay on for another hour or two with Natalie and just keep chatting about this, but we both have clients coming online soon. I'm sure other commitments. Thank you all for being with us, for being a part of Voice Masters live stream. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Singing Revealed YouTube channel. We have an amazing playlist of Voice Masters live streams. There are amazing experts you can learn from, and it's all for free. And please, if you're not following Natalie already on her social media channels, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, please do so. Give her some love and support. You guys, thanks so much for being here. Have a wonderful day. We will see you next week on Voice Masters live stream. And this is a really cool presentation with a very highly respected colleague of mine, Aramat Anheim Sharon from Israel. She's wonderful, and we're talking about the positives of nasal resonance and how to maximize nasal resonance. This is not nasality. It's about nasal resonance and how important that is in your singing. So be sure to tune in next week. We'll stop the live stream now. Take care, everybody.